Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. You might see it from my hand. You might not see it. Hello, I'm right here. We having two Pokemon cartridge, Game Boy Color, old stuff. I'm thinking 2000. I'm thinking 1996. I'm thinking 23 years. I'm thinking, fuck, I'm bad at math. 27. You know what's crazy? These two games revolutionized the gaming industry. Now, I hate to be this guy, but Game Boy Color was. I'm a 90s kid. Game Boy Color was my favorite console. Game Boy Color and N64 were my shizzle. I did a video. I done a video. I did. You can see I'm French. I done a video on why the Game Boy Color was so important to me. And these two are my two favorite games. Sadly, there can only be room for one. And sadly, it is more than Lugia versus Pikachu. It's two games that change not only the gaming industry, but little Inky mindset. So, what we're trying to see here is going to be a long video, so sit your ass down, grab some coffee, grab some popcorn, grab whatever the fuck you want, because it'll be a long one. Dig? Yeah, dig. Let's have some water, because I'm sick. I'm a sick boy. A little cold on the prairie. Ooh, bleh. Oh. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. There's some lemonade, and I use lemon concentrate. It was too much. Ooh, blah. So, I think that we have to look at each of them for what it is, right? So this being the first Pokemon game I ever played, has a special part in my heart. And of course, if it was only for me, right, I would choose this one right away. But for a lot of people, this will be the first. And I'm cheating right here. I'm absolutely cheating. I should be using red or blue and not yellow. I understand that. But we're having yellow because, as I mentioned in the video before, that's the only game I had from the first gen. I didn't have red, didn't have blue, I had yellow. And oh boy, am I glad I did yellow. Then I think what we have to see is what they introduce. We're gonna go with the chronological, the the release date in order. Did that make sense? No? Sorry. So the first one we had is the yellow. Why was the yellow so big? As I mentioned previously in the video, they were supposed to release two generations of Pokemon. The first and silver, which is this one and this one, right? But since they had a huge success with the anime, the movies, the trading card, the gaming, say why stop here? And you can argue that they've been overproducing. You can argue. Just today I saw something crazy, right? And it was a video I recommended on YouTube, and it was playing X and Y after 10 years. And I was like, holy shit, are you kidding me? So the Mega Evolution had been introduced 10 years ago. That is insane to me. But we're not here, we're there. And these might be very different for a lot of people, but they represent simplicity. These two games, right, have around the same amount of time to be played. This one a little more because you get a post-game content, but ultimately, they have the same amount of hours, they have a similar content. It's about beating the 8 gym, right? And I get it. You get missions, you get side quests, and you get storyline. Like Team Rocket, you fight Team Rocket, right? And that's to take you out of the narrative. And it's beautiful. Because by the two of them, right? By introducing by introducing Team Rocket, right? I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, and I'm sorry, but this is my opinion. The Team Rocket was solid, very, very solid, right? And in the anime and the manga, we were fighting Team Rocket. And the game, we were fighting Team Rocket. And I understand that they wanted to make so that, we're not always fighting Team Rocket. So in Emerald or Ruby Sapphire, they introduced Team Aqua and Magma. Now, here, very little people are going to tell me, these are far better than Team Rocket. You could argue that N, which is one of my favorite antagonists of the Pokemon series, is greater than Giovanni. And you'd be right. Anne is the protagonist by choice. He wants to liberate Pokemon. He has a very different mindset. You can kind of understand where he's coming from, right? You don't give a shit about Team Galactic War, okay? But again, we're talking about Palkia, who was in charge of space and time. So we're messing with Divinal Beam, and we had even have Arceus, and we had what should we call it? Giratina, right? Kyogre, Groudon, etc. After that, it was Team Galactic, yeah, Platinum. It was, you see, I stopped playing. Oh, Black and White. You're right. Black and White. Who was the bad guy? I think it was N. I think it was N. Yeah, and I stopped playing there. I didn't stop playing because obviously I'm playing the older title, but Team Rocket was really solid, and I understand him wanting to change because you don't want to always find Team Rocket, but Pokemon and Silver do, in the two games, they do something very, very beautiful. Complete your Pokedex, fight 8 badges, fight a champion, you won. Now, that would be enough of a game on its own, right? It'd be fun. Catching Pokemon. You're tired of catching Pokemon? Okay, go fight a gym. You're tired of fighting gym? Go catch Pokemon, right? But then adding, that's brilliant. That's fucking masterful. This is 1996 thinking. We're gonna put Team Rocket, who are bad guys, okay? Why? Because we want you to feel the player. When I say you, I mean you and I. We want you to feel that you're doing something great. You're doing something that's gonna help the world. Now, the real reason you're fighting Team Rocket is because if you're only fighting the 8 gyms, sure, it's fun. If you're only collecting Pokemon, amazing, great time. But it's not the best narrative, right? Now, if you were to tell me, oh, well, this team leader has this amazing, you have this amazing backstory. I'm playing Silver right now. Faulkner, cool emo cut dude, boring as fuck. Inherited is father Jim, cool. Bugsy, studying insect Pokemon. Yes, true Pokemon level 9. You haven't been studying hard, my dude. We got a team leader number 3 who's crying because you beat her. And admittedly, this is fun. And when you're a kid, you see this and it's fantastic. But if you're looking at this as an adult, right, you're like, okay, well, this game is intended for children, but still. But fighting Team Rocket, doesn't matter the age you are, you're fighting like a greater enemy. So, fighting, let's put it in a simpler term, right? So, fighting the gym badge is for your good, for your own good, to become champion. Fighting Team Rocket's for the greater good. You're saving Johto, you're saving Kanto, you're saving Unevo, you're saving, no, I don't remember, but still. Right? These two games are able to capture that. We're fighting Team Rockets, right? And what is amazing, I'm gonna have to give a lot of points for Silver for doing that. Is you're not fighting a different Team Rocket, you're fighting the same one, right? And I'm gonna have to tell you guys a little snippet of information. So in this one, we defeat Team Rocket, blah blah blah, right? And Team Rocket is this person. Now this is true. The Team Rocket we're fighting here are remnant. Giovanni's not there. They don't have a leader. They have a leader, but it's not really the best leader. And what you come to understand is that Giovanni left, right? And what you come to understand is that the action you took in the previous game, you might be a different Pokemon trainer, you might be a different character. But there's a following. There is a following, right? And it makes sense. The Team Rocket left Johto because they were defeated by Red. They left Kanto because they were defeated by Red. They went to Johto, right? Now, what is amazing is in the Japanese version, or I think Japanese. There was this item or this event where you catch a Celebi, and they did a remake, and the Celebi, when you caught him, right, it was an amazing scene where you go back in time, right, and the amazing scene show your rival and Giovanni, and learning that your rival is Giovanni's son, right. So ultimately, Silver, a rival, is an amazing. So before we even get to that, right, let's finish with Team Rocket, right. Imagine, just imagine, right? And those are very old game. Nobody would have batted eye. Nobody would have said or complained, because still previously, right? But just the fact, the care that they put into saying like, "Yo, this is Prime Team Rocket, Prime, right? And this is the Team Rocket that was defeated 3 years ago, that is slowly rebuilding itself." Right? So I love that. Now for the rival, those two games again shine, right? With the rival. So in this one, the rival is Gary. Now ultimately, if you're a kid and you watch Pokemon, if you're a kid and you play Pokemon, you think Gary's a fucking douchebag. And let me tell you something. Congratulations. He's a fucking douchebag. He's arrogant. He thinks he's better than you. You're like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're not even, nobody, like, he talks about how great he is than you. And of course, it's an old game, but even if it was a newer game where there was multiple character interacting, you know that nobody was like, "Oh yeah, Gary, oh you told him, bro. You fucking told that red guy." No, nobody cares. Like, "Oh, Gary again, Gary again." And I love that even Professor Oak is like, "Yeah, that's my grandson," and he doesn't outright say, "Oh yeah, I'm so proud of him." It's like, "Yeah, that's my grandson," you know. And if you look at the second one now, Gary, what I really enjoy, he's a douche and he's fun to beat. Because he's a douche. And you're gonna see where I'm going with this, because it's actually really fucking nice. It's actually really, really nice. So in the silver version, now we have Giovanni's son, as I mentioned previously, right? And what's cool with him is he's evil, he's cruel. The first interaction you have with him, he just kicks you off, he just pushes you because you're listening in, right? And the second interaction is you fight him because he solo Pokemon. So right away, Gary never solo Pokemon. So right away, this guy is an asshole, right? Now, what is even more interesting is along the way, everybody that you meet, that they meet you. So you meet the guy in Sprout Tower and he says, "Yo, you have to change your ways." You meet this guy in the island when you get the fly HM, the island where you get the secret potion for Jasmine, right? And you see this guy is giving you a chuckle, and you said, "Hey, this guy, you took all my Pokemon. I only have this one left." And of course, Chuckle is useless, and we don't care about Chuckles, right? Well, not really, because in actuality, it's just to prove that your rival is a piece of shit. Now, every time you beat him, yeah, he keeps spouting nonsense. In the final fight, he's like, "Oh, maybe you're right," but we don't get a clear, like, "Oh, he's gonna change," right? Now, ultimately, you have fun against a rival for two completely different reasons. After that, I don't know why. Oh, I'm gonna cure myself, dude. Self medication. Whoo boy. Whoo buddy. Sorry about this. I don't know why after this they start making every single rival your friend. Emerald, it's May. Platinum, I don't know, but he's a blonde kid. Black and White, I don't know again, but there's two of them. They're all your friends. But back then they were rival. Gary, I think ultimately, I think some people understood Gary. I think some people said, "You know what, Gary? I don't like you, but I don't hate you." A lot of people in silver and gold and crystal are like, "Fuck you, man, you're a piece of shit." Right? And to be fair, now where it gets interesting is if you were, I think it depends on the person you are. If you're more a competitive person, then Gary's a better rival. If you're more self-righteous and you want to say, "Hey, I did something good," so and back at what I was saying with Team Rocket, right? You feel like you did something good, and if you beat your rival in the second gen, you feel like you did something wrong, good. And again, if you beat Gary, you just feel good because he's a piece of, you know. And immediately, if you're talking about rival, I think Yellow has to be the winner. Because although I don't really like Gary, Gary made it to champion. Now, I know what you're saying. "Oh, Inky, it's a narrative story. He wasn't really a champion, they just put him there." And to me, this is straight up genius. And this is what a rival should be. You're both chasing the same dream. Ultimately, Gary is ultimately easy you. Right? He's been asked to fill the Pokédex, right? He's been asked to fight the gym and become a champion. Is you. Should have Gary stopped Team Rocket? Possibly. But if I was Gary and I saw the player take care of Team Rocket, I was like, you know what? Fuck him. I'm gonna have my way with the champion. Ultimately, that's what a rival should be, right? He should be the strongest trainer in the game, right? And what is fantastic and this little gem is, and this is what I really enjoy about Silver, right? So this is spoiler. So you would think, okay, that's a big of information. It's big. You would think that, you know, the rival, I don't know his name. The rival would be your rival, right? But that's not true. The rival would actually be red. Because after you beat the game, you can go to Mount Silver. In Mount Silver, you can actually fight red, right? Which is the player from the first gen. Now, canonically, it's him. Canonically, he has the same Pokemon. So, as a matter of fact, he's your ultimate rival, right? And what's cool here is, although I love Gary, the idea of fighting your past self is great. Now, I'm going to have to go, this is a gaming channel, this is a gaming discussion. I'm going to have to go with Kingdom Hearts. Sorry, one of the most fun boss fights was against Riku because Riku's your friend, right? One of the more fun boss fights. It's against Roxas because Roxas is nobody, right? One of the most nice battle is Terra versus his master, right? Because Terra was blinded by darkness. You know, this is all fight that matters to you. The fight versus Red. That's a nice fight. It's a tough, challenging fight, but ultimately is saying, you know what? I beat the best Pokemon trainer in the first game. I beat the past version of myself, and it didn't even matter if you played the first game because you still know what it meant. Oh, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Now, what we have to talk about is innovation. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, Inky. Innovation. What about Pokemon Yellow, the first gen? What did it innovate? So, in my incredible luck of having Pokemon Yellow, I have an incredible luck talking about the video. Innovation here are apparent to the red and blue. And you know what? Since there's not a lot to talk about on the yellow, we'll add in the peculiars of said games. The peculiar of yellow have a lot more. That make it a fair. It makes it fair, right? So let's start with yellow. So yellow has sprites. So a lot of you guys don't know, but if you played Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, there was one major difference. In Pokemon Red, all the sprites were red. Every single places you look, every single wall, every single rock, every single piece of grass you saw was red. If you play blue, the same thing but blue. With yellow, we didn't have necessarily different color for every object, but we had different color for towns, which again is a small but a good step. If you're looking at silver, of course we have. I'm sorry, I had to blow my nose. If you look at silver, okay, now you have colors. You have color for every Pokemon. You have color for people. You have color for town. You have color for every single thing that you can think of. There's a color for it. The palette of color isn't explosive. It's not, oh, I want fuchsia. I want fucking burgundy, right? It's a simple palette of color, but it's still a palette of color. And I think that's what matters here. Like, yes, silver was better, but silver added to yellow what yellow added to the red, right? Red and blue. So of course they had a color for every single thing, but this had a color to more than one thing, you know. So, for example, what I'm trying to say is, okay, I'm lying. Pokemon Red and Blue, I don't remember if the Pokemon they were the color. For example, red or blue. I don't remember that. But in yellow, they still had their color. And the sprites were disgusting. They were disgusting, but it still was nice. Now, Pokemon Yellow introduced a lot of people to Pokemon. They introduced him to the world of trading, battling, keeping company, and the whole industry relies on their mascot, which is Pikachu. And you can argue that, oh, that's not the case. Well, I could argue the difference, right? So tell me another Pokemon version where there's literally a Pokemon on top of it. Special Pikachu edition. Tell me of another special X edition. There isn't. And this is not a ROM hack. This is not a fan-made game. This is a official release. Now, in Pokemon Yellow, the big, some of the best thing was it's to this date, it is the only game where you can legally have all three starter without cheating, without using glitch. You have a Pokemon that follows you, right? Which is great. We haven't seen this until our Gold, Soul Silver, which I don't know about you, was on DS. So, I mean, you're skipping Silver, right? You're skipping Emerald, you're skipping Platinum, right? I think you're skipping White and Black, but I'm not sure. But yeah, the point is you're skipping a lot of fucking years to get back to this. And people fight that Pikachu, and immediately it's kind of sucky because you have this Pokemon that doesn't want to follow you, but fuck him. If you don't like Pikachu, what do? Right? Unless you're playing the game as it's intended to be. Your character is Red, right? But Red's actually another name for Ash Ketchum. You both come from the same place. You both have the same rival, right? You're both giving the same Pokemon by Professor Oak. You're Ash Ketchum, and Ash Ketchum as a Pikachu, right? So if you want to immerse yourself, this is the game. And Yellow Edition, what is amazing also is, again, tree starter, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. You know where it stops? You're gonna have a Machamp. Somebody's gonna trade you a Machoke for like an Abra, I guess. And yeah, it's gonna evolve. You have a Machamp. Of course, it's not gonna listen to you until you get the set badge, but still, a Machamp is pretty badass. Now, in Silver, some of the excruciating and amazing details. And to this round, no matter how good Yellow did, I'm gonna have to get this round to Silver. Because Silver, they introduced the day-night circle, which was immersive. You want to say, hey, outside is sunny, the game is sunny. I remember... I remember being at a water park with a day camp. It was years ago. And I was playing Pokemon Silver on my GBC. And it was sunny outside. And the game was sunny. You see what I mean? Right? It was night. It was night. The game has an annoying feature. And if you're playing at night, you're saying, oh, you're up late. Oh, you should go to bed. You know? And you're supposed to be a kid playing this. So if a game is telling you, it's because it doesn't care for you. Again, completely useless if you're an adult. But a nice touch if you're a kid. Because if you're a kid and you see this, man, maybe they're right? And what they introduce also is the day, right? But not only that, the event. In Silver, you can catch a Lapras in a cave on a Monday. You can meet this person, they'll give you an item on this Monday. On this Tuesday, they'll give you another item, another person, right? And when it's even better, they introduce the call system. Now, ultimately, the call system is completely useless, right? Your mom is going to call you when she buy an item. Family going to want to call them when there's a Pokédex or something, right? And ultimately, that's the only thing that matters. Because you don't want to have to go to the PC to evaluate your Pokédex. But what I do know is we keep on forgetting one thing, right? Pokemon Yellow, the first gen, introduced 151 Pokemon, which is unfathomable, right? I'm not good at Digimon, and of course, people they keep comparing Digimon to Pokemon, but I cannot even tell you 100 of them, much less 1,000 of them, because yeah, Pokemon reached 1,000 not too long ago. These introduced 100, so in these two games, right, you had 251 Pokemon. Now, of course, there's missing No, there's the Mewtwo, which is 151, right? So, all of this has to be taken into consideration, which means that you even if you only catch a Pokemon a day or evolve, you would have for the better part of a year. Now, I don't know about you, but it's impressive for 2 generations, and we're at I don't know how much, right? And I see this, and again, I'm not trying to attack people. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to be a dick. But my apologies. I'm seeing this, and it breaks my heart to see a game like Sword and Shield, not to point any, where they had those event of Pokemon. So you don't have any new Pokemon for me. You have another variable of Pokemon for me, and in some cases it's great. In some cases you have an Icy Mr. Mime. Cool, cool. Do I care about the Icy Mr. Mime? Not really. And I'm not saying I like every Pokemon in this one. They were original, right? And in this one, they kind of cheated a bit, right? So I can think of 2 Pokemon right away. Steelix, I can think of, oh no, Steelix, Slowking. I can think of Scyther, which is the evolution of Scyther. The red insect. I can think of, did I say Steelix? I did. I can think of pre-evolution, and even then, here we introduce the egg system, right? So for a lot of people, the egg system doesn't matter. So if you're only wanting to play the game, doesn't matter. If you only want to have a cool run, never gonna matter, right? But ultimately, what it introduces is the egg system. So if you're a breeder, you can breed your perfect Pokemon. If you're a breeder, you can have baby Pokemon. They introduced that too. They introduced Elekid, which is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. They introduced a pre-evolution from Magmar and Jinx. And what is really fucking cool here is, and that's gonna be mind fucking buggling, okay? You're not gonna believe me. Ultimately, what does Magmar, Electabuzz, and Jinx have in common? They're both a single evolution Pokemon. What is the other thing they have in common? They all three represent a different element: fire, ice, electricity. Right? A pre-evolution for all of them, in their own unique way. They're so similar, it makes sense. Now, I got a fun fact for you. Fun fact fucking galore. Did you know that Raichu was supposed to evolve? Right? It was supposed to have a third evolution. The people called the third evolution too scary. Too scary. So you know what they did? So you know what? We want to have Trist evolution Pokemon. They had a Pikachu. You want to know a secret? They introduce. Oh my god, this is crazy. Again, this is not confirmed. This is my theory. This is my understanding. They introduced the egg Pokemon to introduce Pichu. And you'd say that's a bit far-fetched. Well, they did release a complete game out of one Pokemon, so why not? Right? Another thing that is a phenomenal here, that is fucking unbelievable, is that even though you didn't care about them, you didn't care about the baby Pokemon, they were still here. All that matters is that they're here. You know? It doesn't matter if you like Pikachu and Pokemon Yellow. It doesn't matter if you like Pikachu here, right? What matters is that, like in the anime, right, he's following you. Like in the anime, it's not gonna evolve, right? Those are things that, if you care about, are great. If you care about egg Pokemon, if you care about breeding, that's amazing that you have the option. If you don't care, well, guess what? Doesn't matter. You can still play the game. In Pokemon Yellow, you're gonna make me believe with 150 Pokemon, you can find a number 6 to your team if you don't like Pikachu. I doubt it. You're gonna tell me that you can enjoy a game like this. So technically, there's one egg you have to get. The one egg is Togepi. But technically, the eggs, once you receive it, you put it in the box. You don't have to ever use it, right? So they're scot free. Now, for the last point, right? We're gonna talk about the impact of it. The impact. So, I was too young. I was too young to have Pokemon Yellow, right? My neighbor upstairs, she was a bit older than me. She was like 2 years older, right? When this game came out, I was 6. And that's why this was my first Pokemon game, right? But the impact that this had, so this game, the impact that it had was crazy. Because you can imagine an RPG to this extent, right? So you had an RPG like, Final Fantasy, which was great. But you gotta admit, and I'm not trying to hate, again, I fucking sound like a fence sitter. Um, but you had 151 Pokemon you could train, right? Final Fantasy, no. You had a lot of weapons, sure, fine. A lot of armor, amazing. But nothing like a different Pokemon with different style that evolves and have different moveset. That was insane. And this one I remember the craziness around it. People talking about Pokemon, people telling each other secret how to get this rod, how to get this Pokemon. I remember people playing in real life, right? Now, admittedly, I never went to a game con. I never went to a place where people play trading card. I never went to a place where people play video games together. I never even been to an arcade, possibly, but I don't remember, right? And then we have this little gadget where by a single cable you could connect two Game Boy Color, play versus another. And the craziest thing was happening. People were playing everywhere, right? And I want you to think about the last time you hear a. I want you to think about the last time you hear a viral song. Everywhere you went, people listening to it. You might like the song or not like it. It's in your face. Well, Pokemon was that, right? And I don't know how Pokemon are doing these days, but nothing will beat sitting at a table in front of each other, linked by a cable, trading Pokemon and battling. Because at the end of the day, it was social. It was a social experiment. Not a social experiment in the case of we're experiencing the same thing, we're taking notes. A social experiment in the fact that I want this Pokemon, they have this Pokemon, we might not be friends, but I have to be nice to them for them to give me this Pokemon, for me to trade them this Pokemon. I have to find, you know what's crazy? You know what's actually insane, right? Think about it. It's far-fetched. I understand that. I agree with that. But trading Pokemon for a lot of people was their first trade, was their first bot. My example. Oh, I spent 7 hours catching a shiny Gyarados, which was actually my first shiny, by the way. Silver, thank you. Yeah, I know it's automatically, but still. And this guy, he has a fucking missing no, and I don't know how he got it, and he won't tell me. It's like, well, you have your Gyarados, shiny Gyarados. I'll trade you for it. And you actually have to think, do I want to trade it? Is it worth it? Right? Should I make this trade? And what I'm talking about, this 7 hours, is the investment of time. So, as a kid, you don't deal with money. You deal with time. As an adult, you deal with money, but you deal with time too. Right? And this was the first sense of value you had. And the craziness was that for somebody, a Pokemon had less value. Right? And now for everybody, we're supposed to think that a $20 bill has its value. Pokemon taught us the trade system. It taught us to be mindful of what business we did, because it was kind of business, right? There was some wager. If you win a Pokemon battle, you have to give me this Pokemon. And if you're smart enough, you understood that, oh fuck, I just lost a Pokemon I really liked. Maybe I should gamble anymore. If you're stupid enough, you fall into the addiction of gambling. I'm not saying you're stupid if you gamble. I'm saying you shouldn't get addicted to it. And that's basically it. So now, for the final question, what game is better? Yellow or silver? And I'm sorry I'm blue balling you guys. I'm sorry I spent the last 24 years talking, 24 minutes talking. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Because those two are a great title. And those two deserve a place in the pantheon. You know, we're gonna do a review on Zelda Ocarina of Time, which was announced as one of the greatest games of all time, right? And yeah, doesn't matter if people prefer Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time. No, it matters that those games are getting the love that they deserve. On that note, love you guys. Peace.